jump into the first presenter, and that's Steve Wolfel with Colliers. He's senior vice president there, and he's going to go over the first two properties, 50 Tech Drive in Westminster and 80 Pine Hill Drive in Boylston. Tech Drive is a 50-acre medical office campus, and Pine Hill Drive in Boylston is a Class A industrial building. So we'll turn it over to Steve.
Great. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Pete, for the opportunity. So as you look here, there's an existing building at 50 Technology Drive. This was the old Tyco Simplex building that many of you are familiar with. It's a 162,000 square foot building on 4 floors. Equity Industrial and Waterstone Properties purchased this building last year, and the plans for it are for what we're calling an immersive medical village. As Doug mentioned, this specific property is on 50 acres. Next door, EIP and Waterstone also own a 90-acre campus. And their goal here is not dissimilar to what they did at Rock Row in Westbrook, Maine, which these two images below the building at 50 Tech show Rock Row. What they did there is they developed, again, an immersive medical campus where they did about 200,000 square feet of medical that's anchored by a Dana-Farber subsidiary and is surrounded by retail, amenities, et cetera. So that's the plan for this building here. Again, there's an existing building of 162,000 square feet. We've had quite a bit of activity on 3 of the floors, and knock on wood, you're going to see a medical group in there sooner than later. In addition, we're starting to get some activity on next door, the land that they have. So if you want to go to the next slide, Annie, just to see if I'm missing anything. So this here, you can see the floor plans. Each is about 40,000 square feet. Where it says available space build to suit, that's a typo. So again, the available space is 162,000 square feet. Well built for medical. Ceiling height's 12 foot clear, fully sprinkled. There's a full service cafeteria on the lower level that lends itself to a single use tenant that we hope to activate when we get at least 3 of the 4 floors leased out. So we're very excited about the project. We all know Westminster's, I wouldn't say in the middle of nowhere, but it's not Longwood Medical, but we're starting to see a lot of medical groups from Longwood Medical look out this way. So 80 Pine Hill Drive in Boylston, Northbridge Partners purchased this land about a year or so ago. Colliers brought it to them. We just did their construction financing, and it's due to deliver in December of 2022. 396,000 square foot Class A warehouse building located right off of 290 and on 140. Terrific access there. It's next to the current FedEx distribution center. If you want to go down to the next slide, Annie, that'd be great. It'll show the specs of the building. So again, 396,000 square feet will deliver in December. There will be 92 loading docks, 4 drive-ins, good amount of trailer spacing, and we're starting to see a significant need in all markets for trailer spacing with the Amazons, FedExes, TJXs of the world. 36 foot clear, 4,000 amps, ESFR, and we would consider subdividing it. The goal is to find a full building tenant, and with the activity we've been seeing of late, we hope that happens. But we'd probably demise it into 2 separate spaces. But Northbridge has been a terrific partner, and we're really excited about this project, and activity has been great.
Great.
That's all I've got.
Thanks, Steve. So just we have time for a couple questions, if anybody has any.
I just have a quick one on the Westminster building. I was over there recently. Was able to just drive around that campus a little bit. Very, it's an impressive looking building. Just wondering about water for that building, Steve.
Yeah, so it's on town water and town sewer. So plenty of it there, and that's why we feel medical will be a perfect fit. And we're already seeing action from some of the local hospitals and medical groups in the area, just because it's built really, really well for a medical use. The floor plates of 40,000 square feet work. Again, the clear height, strong floor loads. And again, town water and sewer.
Yeah, it's great looking building.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Steve, I had a question. We know about the battles between CGMP versus industrial sites going on. And with a large building like that, would you ever consider a mixed use CGMP and industrial, or is industrial just so hot you don't need it?
For Westminster, we would not at this point. We're confident, and the goal is medical, with maybe some tertiary office space on that site. Equity does have in a warehouse building that my colleague PJ Foster will talk to soon, where I think they would consider CGMP there. As it relates to Boylston, sure, I think we'd look at CGMP, but just knowing how hot the warehouse industrial market is, we're confident we'll stick with that plan there.
Two very hot markets with the same kind of core and shell characteristics. It's just interesting how they play out. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
I have a question. Steve, Mike DeJano here. How are you? What's the pricing on 80 Pine Hill?
We're going to be going out in the double-digit triple nets, probably $11, $12 triple net, depending on the amount of build-out that needs to be done.
Great, thanks.
The next property, and our presenter is PJ Foster, Senior Vice President at Colliers. And she's going to talk about One Simplex Drive in Westminster, 360,000 square foot proposed warehouse facility.
Great, thank you. So, hi everybody. Simplex Drive's owned by Equity Industrial. We can go to the next slide to show, perfect. So it's a 360,000 square foot build-to-suit opportunity. It's on almost 76 acres. It's immediately off of Route 2, about 10 minutes to 190, and very centrally located between 495 and Route 91. High-level specs for the building, so at 40-foot clear, tilt-up construction, 73 docks, 3 drive-ins, 104 trailer drops. Let's see, 140-foot truck court, and then we got 35,000 pit levelers. So great building. As you'll see in the plan, ample parking, trailer traffic, truck drops are separated well. We can also provide fencing for trailer drop area. And then we can also subdivide. So at this point, architect has shown subdivide down to about 155,000 square feet. Let's see, I think last piece is all permits are in place, which is great, pending site plan approval.
Great, thank you, PJ. Any questions?
PJ, Michael Dalton here. Is that you mentioned? Is this a spec building, or is this something that will be built upon someone signing a lease?
Built to suit.
Right.
James Cunningham is going to present Turning Point Campus in Fitchburg. James is the managing director at Cunningham Equities, and this property is a proposed life sciences manufacturing campus. So take it away, James.
Thank you, Doug. Good morning. Big thank you to MassVCon, Doug, Annie, and Peter for organizing, inviting us to the showcase. We're thrilled to be here. Again, I'm James Cunningham, Managing Director of Cunningham Equities. We're owners of Turning Point Campus at 642 River Street in Fitchburg. This month, Fitchburg was recognized as a newly platinum bio-ready community through Mass Bio. And as the mayor, city leaders and officials and local industry will tell you, Fitchburg is open for business. Turning Point Campus, TPC, is zoned and designed for life science and other modern manufacturing. In this aerial, you'll see you can see our 250,000 square foot manufacturing facility, formerly the Fitchburg and Monk's Joe paper mills. We have 20,000 square foot medical and food grade Class A warehouse and 5,000 square foot research and lab facility, all on campus. You'll also be able to see in this aerial the active rail spur that services the property, along with the future home of 2 solar farms on campus. And if we could jump to the next slide, please. Thank you. TPC is ready for a custom built to spec life science fit up. That can be completed within 9 to 12 months of approved building plans, although the site is pre-approved and zoned for life science. Shown here are, again, you can see the future home of 2 solar farms, 100,000 square foot solar farm currently on vacant land, or would go on vacant land bordering the Nashua River, and 160,000 square foot farm on the roof of the manufacturing building. TPC currently has an ASTM Phase 1 and 2 Clean Environmental Report and is zoned for safe GMP manufacturing and multi-use functions. Outside of the city's recent platinum rating and also the featuring on the ReadyMass 100, some highlights of the site include up to 40-foot high ceilings, fully sprinklered. There's up to 100,000 square feet of contiguous manufacturing space. The site is adjacent to MART, local public transit, the commuter rail into North Station and Route 2. All utilities are on site with 16,000 amps of electrical power, natural gas, public water and sewer, direct access to wastewater treatment plant, and there's also a water filtration plant on site from the Nashua River. Additionally, there's over 350 parking spaces. Finally, and importantly, maybe most importantly, Turning Point Campus is individually listed on the state and federal register of historic assets. That means that up to 40% of all qualified build-out costs are eligible to offset build-out expenses or to be passed through as a cash benefit to future companies and tenants at TPC. Again, we're thrilled and thankful to have the opportunity to present today. Open invite to all to visit Fitchburg and TPC. We're open for business.
Great, thanks, James. And I'm also going to add that Fitchburg is a gateway city, one of the cities in the state where we're really trying to encourage development. So that's another asset to the property. Are there any questions for James?
Just a quick thank you for James. That was I know it was some quick work in getting all the applications in and so forth. We're really excited to have Turning Point in the inventory. So thank you.
Thank you. We're thrilled to be here.
Great. So now we're going to introduce Kevin Brawley, Senior Vice President of Colliers, and he's going to talk about Centec Park North in Shrewsbury. And this is a 310,000 square foot industrial campus. Welcome, Kevin.
Much appreciated. Thanks for having me here and including the project on the list here. So this is another project similar to my colleague Steve Wolfel that outlined that we partner with Northbridge Partners on it. It's a 60-acre site that's in Shrewsbury. They recently acquired it and have master planned this 310,000 square foot industrial campus. We'll call it industrial, but it's really a flexible type campus. The buildings are designed, so there's 3 separate buildings. One of them is 103,000 square feet. The other is just under 200,000 square feet. And then the other is a a 20,000 square foot building that can be flex, office, any number of different things. But the 103 and 200,000 square foot buildings are both designed to be distribution buildings, can be single tenant or subdivide in half on either front. And they're also equipped with, these are on sewer. There's 4,000 amps of power going to each building, 36-foot clear height to each building, 7-inch floor thickness of the slab. So the idea is that this could be GMP as well, with its relation to UMass Medical School, the reactory that's out in Worcester, and some of the other life science campuses that are out that way. So really built to be, or being built to be adaptable. I would say construction is well underway. We are in line right now to have tenant improvement work starting in July, with full delivery of the buildings for, call it, October of this year.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for Kevin?
I have a question, Kevin. Mike DeGiano, how are you? What's the pricing there?
So it depends on the use, really, Mike. We've sent out proposals that are more warehousing, distribution, proposals that are in the $11 range right now, triple net. And then, we've also sent some out that are more higher end, flexi tech manufacturing that have got up into the high teens. And there's, a bigger tenant improvement package that would go along with that. And then, similarly, we would look at other opportunities if it was a very heavy TI package to amortize the additional rent on top of that.
Got it. Thanks.
Next property in the Northeast region. I'm going to introduce Margaret Fee, associate at Newmark. And she's going to talk about the park at Beaver Brook in Boxborough. It's a Class A office flex campus owned by Campanelli. And there are a lot of different development scenarios that are possible here. So she's going to go over these with you.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Doug. Hi, everyone. Margaret Fee with Newmark. We are the leasing agents for the park at Beaver Brook in Boxborough. So this is the former Cisco campus, about 400,000 square feet of Class A office and data center space. The campus sits on just over 350 acres of land, of which about 110 acres are developable. So we're thinking that we can get up to an additional 100,000 square feet, or 1 million square feet rather, of additional space. And this is kind of, that you see on the screen now, an early stage master plan that we've put together, in kind of a broad range of use that we can do. It can be research and development. It can be office space. Everybody knows that lab is going crazy right now. So there's just a lot of flexibility to what can be done on the campus today. The three buildings right now are 200 Beaver Brook, 300 Beaver Brook, and 500 Beaver Brook. 300 is actually continuing to be leased to Cisco. They have a mega data center in there now, and 200 and 500 are completely vacant. If we go to the next slide, it kind of gives you an orientation of where the park sits in relation to different access points and retail spots in the 495 area. Really easy to access from 495 and Route 111. And then just moving on, 200 Beaver Brook. This is just under 100,000 square feet of space. It was actually fit out in 2018 by Cisco. So it's really awesome Class A office space in here. Campanelli has looked into the possibility of converting this to a flex building, keeping kind of some of the two stories of office in the front and then ripping out the back to open up a high bay warehouse component. Ample power goes into this campus, 15-foot slab to slab, and it's just a really flexible building that can be used for a number of different uses. And then 500 Beaver Brook on the next slide is the largest existing building in the park now. Similar story, just a lot that they can do with this, whether it be an office user or an R&D user. There's just a lot that can be done, and we've had a great deal of interest on it over the past few months since we last went live with this in August. So we're really excited about this project and think that there's the limits what can be done out here.
Great, thank you, Margaret. I have a question about the developable sites on the campus and what the timeline might be for those.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the thinking now is it's more of a build to suit basis. So if we have a user come in and say, hey, I need 130,000 square feet of single story flex space, we would kind of pop them into the proper site that we have. We've kind of flirted with the idea of doing something on spec, but haven't really come around to that. But it's mainly on a need basis.
My quick question is regarding the master plan you referred to in terms of the additional buildings. Has that been approved locally? Is that in process locally?
Yeah, it's in process. I mean, they've been working really closely with the town, so they're aware with everything we have kind of planned. But similar to the previous question, it's kind of on they'll get the proper approvals as things come into play.
Next property, Rob Jacobian with Cummings Properties. He's the senior leasing director there. He's going to talk about 34 Commerce Way in Woburn. This is an existing GMP manufacturing facility located right at I-93 and I-95. Welcome, Rob.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Peter, thank you. And good morning, everyone. And this is a unique asset for us. I mean, we've been inundated, as all of you have probably read and experienced, with the lab demand. All the BSL 2 labs that are in our portfolio and those that are being built and those in the surrounding area are all, just that, BSL 2. And having a large portfolio of clients in the life science industry, we've been hearing time and time again that they need to transition up to manufacturing at some point, and the availability of a manufacturing facility in and around the area is difficult due to the absence of land. And in many cases, a lot of the large farmers are manufacturing outside of the country. So when a facility like this came to us, we were excited about it because, as you said, this is a CGMP FDA certified lab that Amgen had built out in its current form. And most recently in 2020, the most recent modifications had taken place. And part of this build out was to accommodate a cancer drug that they were producing on site. So the facility is supported by clean rooms from ISO 87 and 5. And the facilities also include cell culture purification areas, final formulation areas, and drug product operations for filling, visual inspection, and control rate freezing. So when you get into these types of facilities, I could literally bore you with the details because they're very immensely detailed, but there's an excess of $10 million worth of modifications in place, and the facility has been fully decommissioned and as of the end of December, and we're excited to bring it to the market. So in terms of other amenities on site, there's automation with both building management and control systems for all the HVAC and power. And there are also continuous monitoring systems that have been wired. The servers have been removed for proprietary reasons, but all the wiring is in place for the continuous monitoring, which monitors the trends and temperatures within the clean rooms and the controlled temperature units for the incubators, freezers, and other critical areas. HVAC is equally impressive. There's 3 subsystems, 1 for the clean rooms and 2 for the laboratories and manufacturing areas. The facility also, because of the drug manufacturing aspect, has a purified water system, which is designed to support a pure steam generator and water for injection. The pure steam generator is designed to produce pure steam and water for pharmaceutical applications that meet water for injection quality. Additionally, the facility is equipped with process piping for compressed air and CO2 throughout. Access is by card key systems, and the warehouses as well include control room temperature storage areas. Finally, the entire facility is backed up with 2 generators, and there's a single source acid neutralization tank on the property as well. Additionally, there's some room for expansion on the footprint, not a lot, but this 2-story, 60,000 square foot facility is pretty well inclusive and is also part of the Biomed Overlay District in Woburn. So doing modifications for lab in this area is not going to be challenging.
Hi, Rob. Steve Hassel from SGA. I had a question. I did discuss this property with your Bob Folger within Cummings, and he wasn't quite sure when Amgen was leaving or what they would leave behind, all that kind of stuff. We're doing about 8 of these CGMP facilities, and we did offer to take a tour and take a look with him, but always Amgen was on site. Am I to understand that they are now gone?
They vacated as of the end of the year, and we've got total possession of the property, and it's all been fully decommissioned, and all of the inventory in the way of leaseholds and other equipment-related pieces, we have inventories of all those which remained on site, and most of which was left on site to ease for the transition to another manufacturer. So we can certainly arrange to get you a tour.
That'd be great, because we've got a bunch of clients that are looking at that, and something as far down the road as that is like platinum. You really should get a lot of offers on that. That's great.
Yeah, we're excited about it. It's really as close to a plug and play as you could get. It's literally for drug manufacturing and substance manufacturing.
Rob, it's Kevin Hannon with Colliers. I was just curious to know what the breakdown of single-story to 2-story space was, and what your clear heights are in the building. Well,
the clear heights are somewhat challenged with respect to the lab areas. You've got the warehouse areas which are conditioned and controlled. Those are a little bit higher, but the 2-story element on the street, and especially on the ground floor lab areas, you don't have anything in excess of maybe 8.5 feet in those control room areas.
Just to follow up, is the building 2 stories completely? In other words, 30 over 30, or is it a section of it single story and higher bay?
It's a section of it is the higher bay, but there's also 2 stories over all of it, except that over the manufacturing area where the clean rooms are, there isn't access to the 2nd floor except for the catwalk to service the HVAC, which is essentially on the mezzanine level over that entire 1st floor.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One other question, Rob. Is this for sale or for lease or both?
Well, it is part of our holdings, and as such, part of the foundation. Not to say that it couldn't be sold, but we haven't entertained anything in that regard yet, so I couldn't even put a number on it for you. It would be a hard thing to classify because of what it is. But right now, we're putting it out to lease at $85 a square foot on a modified gross basis.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So we're going to move on to the next property and introduce Travis Snell, president with Concord Property Management. And he's going to talk to us about 60 Codman Hill Road. also in Boxborough. He's going to share a video with us. This is a 2-story flex building located right on 495.
Thanks,
Welcome,
Doug.
Travis.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so we acquired 60 Codman Hill Road at the end of last year. It's actually part of 2 buildings that are legally separated. And as Margaret was talking about, with a lot going on in Boxborough and the area here, we're right off of 495 at Route 111. And as many of you may know, there's a really high-profile client, VivaLogix, who just leased 118,000 square feet just across the road. The folks at Colliers did that, and they're going to be manufacturing some of the COVID vaccines there, and it's really exciting what's going on in Boxborough. And this building was originally a digital equipment deck building built in '86. And most recently has been leased by Interactive Data Corp, and they were a company that backed up the New York Stock Exchange. So it has, quite a bit of power, and it's a 9-acre site. I'm actually, since nobody's been playing videos, why don't we, if Annie, would you mind just skipping 2 slides to the next slide? Then would be great. And we'll skip the video and just move to, it's 100,000 square feet on 2 stories. It's on just over 9 acres of land. What's really nice is we've got quite a bit of flexibility because the building's in place. It's in good shape right now. You could move in with some, minor work depending on what you need. And we also have the flexibility. We're looking at potentially redeveloping the site with the 9 acres. We have quite a bit of land to work with, and it's zoned IC, so industrial commercial, but we could do R&D with special permit, but otherwise we do office or industrial. The clear heights are listed there. There's 300 or 3,000 amps of power, and we are on a private well and a private septic. But it's ready to go, and it's right off the highway. It's visible on the highway. If a particular tenant wanted some identity on 495, you could see it, right off the highway. So that's it.
Moving on to 11 Dartmouth Street, Malden, also a gateway city. I want to introduce Bob Elmer, managing partner with Lee and Associates. And this is an impressive project, Class A office, mixed use project to be delivered in 2024. All yours, Bob.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Thanks to Mass Econ for having us on this and the opportunity to put this in the showcase. I'm with Lee and Associates, and we're proud to represent the developer Quaker Lane with this project. It's a fully permitted site in downtown Malden for a 9-story Class A office building. It'll be the first new office building downtown Malden in a long time. Quaker Lane, just to back up, is a certified minority business enterprise. They've partnered with Turnbridge Equities out of New York City on this project. They've got the permitting all lined up. They're in schematic design right now for this 9-story building. And they would hope to break ground this summer on construction in order to deliver in 2024. We're currently talking to a couple of full building users here. We anticipate the full building will be approximately 187,000 square feet, give or take. And they are constructing it they're going to go ahead and do 15-foot floor-to-floor floors so that this building can be either a straight office or an R&D type building. Malden Center, as Doug mentioned, is a gateway city. It's also in a designated opportunity zone. So there are a lot of incentives through the state available here. The location is, as I said, it's an urban center, right? And we love the location, and Quaker Lane loves the location because of the highly accessible nature. It's 5 miles north of downtown Boston. It's on the Orange Line, 2 stops north of Assembly Square. And there's a commuter rail stop, the last commuter rail stop coming in from the north, right at Malden Center before it goes into North Station. So we look at this as highly transit oriented, easily accessible, just north of downtown Boston, just outside sort of Somerville, and sort of the growing impact of all the R&D space that's going on there. Perfect. I was just going to say, go to the next page. This is an example of how we've designed the building to be either an R&D lab or straight office. These are a couple of sample floor plans. First floor is going to be, regardless of what we do, the first floor is going to have 18-foot clear in the lobby. It's going to be a nice, impressive Class A lobby like you would see in any downtown new office building. If you want to go to the next page, it has some example photos of what that looks like. Building's going to have 24/7 security. It's going to be LED certified. 3 passenger elevators, 2 freight elevators. We're going to have significant indoor-outdoor space. The rooftop will have a penthouse amenity room with a large open deck area, similar to what's pictured here. We are not going to go spec on the building. We would need a minimum of a 2-floor tenant to break ground this summer. The ideal tenant would be a full building user. Like I said before, we're in serious discussions with 2 groups. We're well down the road with one of them, but we're always looking to fill the pipeline. And so I think this is a good one to have out there for the community to be aware of.
Hey, Bob, Michael Dalton here. I had a question for you. What would your pricing be on that with the 2 groups you're chatting with?
Yeah, so mid-40s triple net for straight office. If we build out lab R&D, it's probably going to be mid to upper 60s triple net. There's a good amount of more information at a website, our website, 11dartmouth.com.
Great. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Thank you.
Now we have Michael Dalton, principal at Avison Young, who's going to bring us 201 Lowell Street in Wilmington. And this is a 300,000 square foot campus industrial facility. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate everyone's time here joining today. And Steve Hassel, good to see your smiling face. I know you're always good for a good question. So on the call too today is my partner, Jason Lewandowski, as well as our other partners in the ownership of this project, Billy Kennedy and Leah Harsfield. They should be on the call as well. But thank you again. We want to present this opportunity to everyone to keep in mind, and appreciate everything that Mass Econ does. So this project is a 300,000 square foot project that is situated right at the interchange of 93 and Route 129, just 3 miles north of the interchange of 95, 10 miles from south of I-495, and 15 miles to downtown Boston. Currently, it's the Textron campus, which consists of a 62-acre site that will be, it's undergoing renovation right now, and the result will be a brand new facility. And if you want to flip to the next page, that'd be great. You'll see, by the way, for everyone's benefit, the big building that you see off to the left-hand side in that slide is the existing Textron campus. And there's going to be, there is ongoing demolition of buildings 1, 2, and 3, which are on the right-hand side of the project, and then another building to be torn down soon. The result is that Textron is going to be staying on campus in roughly 210,000 square feet in a new building that's going to kick off construction in July of this year. One thing just to speak of, so everybody knows, we have 100% permits from the town of Wilmington and everything else that we need. We have no outstanding work to be done, so we are going forward and building this building. There is some work to be done in regards to helping Textron move into their new campus. So we have a delivery date that's going to look like a June of 23 date. Again, construction starting this year in July. The site, if you want to jump to the next slide, Annie, the building that you see on the left-hand side mentions going to be 300,000 square feet, 54 tailboard doors, 2 drive-in doors, and the clear height will be 36 feet. Another feature to consider is we have bay spacing that it will be 50 by 50 with a speed bay at the front of roughly 60 feet. The site has full power from Reading Municipal Light in 2 different feeds. It has a mass water and sewer access at 2 different points on the site along 129 and out to the rear. And every feature in infrastructure piece already in place that will be redeployed in this new building. In terms of access to the site, on the right-hand side, you'll note that there are 4 planned access points along Route 129 that takes you 1 mile out to Route 93, as well as another access point for the site for motor vehicles that will exit out on Route 38. So, more than any other site in the area, it's fully accessible and ready to go, and it has full circular access capacity. So the next slide. A little bit on the schedule. We are I think may have already released the full drawings in steel. The permit, final building permit, just to build the building and kind of get a checkbox on what's being built, will be done in May. The work to enable Textron will be done in July, and the site will be mobilized with actual construction going on this summer. The site is being built. The general contractor for the site is ARCO. Cranshaw Construction is doing the work right now with Textron National Development and helping Textron move into their other buildings, but ARCO will be the group that's going to build the building. With that, I've done a lot of talking. Are there any questions? And Steve, I hope you're gonna ask something, right? So I guess not, but we are again probably the only opportunity within 495 that has a site that's being built right now that has the access to it in the proximity to downtown Boston. The site is fully capable to do manufacturing, it's fully capable to do GMP, and it's fully capable to do distribution. So we're open to all different comers, and we've had interest in all those different sectors already from groups, and would welcome your help and your thoughts. And so with that, are there any questions?
My question, Mike, when are you available for lunch?
How about next week?
Looks good. I'll send you some dates. Thank you.
That'd be great.
Mike, what's your minimum square footage block you think you'd lease?
Right now, we've responded to 4 different groups for a full building user at the moment. I think we would ultimately break the building up, but there's sufficient amount of activity out there that the building would go in one fell swoop.
Before we jump off, I just wanted to introduce myself and say hi, Leah Harsfield with National Development. I'm a principal at ND and our director of leasing. Really appreciate everyone on the phone today taking the opportunity to allow us to present the site. And thanks again to Mass Econ and the ReadyMass program. It's been actually really, really helpful to us in some of the prospects that we've already seen here. So appreciate all the efforts, and we're really excited to bring hopefully a pretty significant employer to the Massachusetts area here. So thanks again, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you, Leah.
Great. Thank you, Leah. Thanks a lot, Michael. We're going to go back to PJ Foster at Colliers, and she's going to present the Boston Business Park, 100 Meadow Road, Building 200. This is a well-known industrial campus in the Hyde Park neighborhood of Boston.
Yeah. So to that extent, you have a Boston zip code. So as everybody here knows, the supply within the 128 belt is incredibly tight, especially in Boston. So this is an existing building with existing vacancy, amazing access. It's less than 3 miles to 128, which is great. The availability is up to 68,000 square feet. There's 24-foot clear, 42 by 32 column spacing. There are 17 docks with levelers, bumpers, and seals. And we can probably expand that. There's also 14 trailer drops. So in the city, within the belt, that's fantastic. And we can probably expand it as well. Let's see, what else can I tell you? LED lighting, ESFR. It's a great option for inside the belt. You are right next to the commuter rail, and that's the Reedville stop to the left there, that train line.
What's your
price? Is that also commercial freight there, or is it just commuter rail?
Yes. Yep. Commercial, and then I heard a question on pricing. Mid-teens, triple net. It really depends on TI and term. But mid to high teens, depending.
PJ, is this my cobwebs in my head? Was this the Sears warehouse distribution site at one point, or is that another?
Different. At one point, this was a Stop and Shop facility, like 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Catsiotis Produce is in there now, and MS Walker's behind them.
Great, thanks.
Great. Thank you, PJ. We're going to go on to the final 2 properties, and we're going to go back to Kevin Brawley Colliers, and he's going to talk about 5 Campanelli Circle in Canton and 530 Turnpike in Canton. Campanelli Circle's office R&D, lab space opportunity, and 530 Turnpike is a flex warehouse option. So go ahead, Kevin.
All right, thank you. So 5 Campanelli Circle in Canton. This is owned by Calaire Properties. It was a former Porter and Chester Institute, so it was a technical school. So they had it built out with a lot of classrooms and different work areas for the tech school. Calera has gone in and done some demo, or a lot of demo. So it's a 55,000 square foot single tenant building. It's really a 40,000 square foot building footprint with a 15,000 square foot second floor of office. In the warehouse space, you're 24 foot clear, and you're 12 and a half underneath that second floor. One oversized drive-in door, and then 2 tailboard height loading docks. You can add more docks, so definitely. This is something that we've seen a lot of groups here that have been in that tech flexi manufacturing group, and then some of the smaller scale GMP groups have looked at it as well. Let's see. Site itself is a little over. It's actually just under 7 acres. There is probably an ability to expand it slightly, but not much more than probably like 10,000 square feet. You want me to just roll into 530 Turnpike?
Yeah. Why don't you roll into that and then take questions on both?
Okay, sounds good. So 530 Turnpike also in Canton. This is owned by Oliver Street Capital, acquired very recently. It's 140,000 square foot building total. There's a tenant in a portion of it, and there's just under 100,000 square feet that's available. So 99,791. That also, there's a 22,000 square foot mezzanine that's in place that's not included in that square footage. If nobody steps up and speaks for that in the next week or so, demo is going to begin to actually take out that mezzanine. So we'd be left with just the 99,000 square feet. Also 24 foot clear in this space. A little bit more power to this building. There's 4,000 amps. So good amount of space for that, just under 100,000 square feet. There's also a second floor office that component that does go with this building as well, as you can see there. There is some land that is around this site as well that Oliver Street controls, and so they'd have an ability to either expand this building or do something smaller in a separate building.
What's your pricing on those two, Kevin?
So 530 Turnpike is probably going to be somewhere in that 12 to 15 triple net range, depending on where we land on TI. And then over at 5 Campanelli, probably 15, 16 triple net.
Thank you.
Great. So that wraps up all the properties. So we have some time if there are any questions for the previous presenters, or more questions for Kevin, or any questions regarding the ReadyMass 100 initiative.
Yeah, I have a question for either Peter or Doug, but in terms of the activity that you guys see from an inbound perspective and people looking around, and I know you put up a slide, but is there any specific group that is looking, that's kind of surprised you guys, or any particular sector that surprised everyone, last year and this year?
I would add, we over the last couple of years, we've had a uptick in food companies in general, looking for food grade space, refrigerated space, freezer space, or an interest in building that out. Definitely within the last 2 years compared to previous years. And we've had, it's tough to find properties for those types of users. It's been it's been a challenge for us. So that as far as an industry is something that's really been active. I guess, in addition to that, we've had a lot of requirements over the last couple of years that have needs along the line of a large developable site. When I say large, 50 acres plus, and that's been a challenging requirement as well, particularly for biomanufacturing and large scale distribution land sites. So those have been two challenges, but they've also been requirements that have really been active over the last couple of years.
And I would just add that we've had a lot of warehouse distribution, logistics center activity, obviously, and that is honestly seeing the number of properties suitable for significant warehouse distribution on this list is great, because that has been a pretty pressing need, and we're aware of some of the really mega buildings that are being built out there for 600,000 square feet and up. But I think definitely there's going to be activity in this range, and there's 300,000 square feet or so, and so that's fantastic. One thing I would say, and I've said it in other Mass Econ events before, we have had something that's different in terms of the life science biomanufacturing space. Is we've had 5+ years ago, a life science company wouldn't be looking at something that didn't have life science infrastructure existing in it. We'd get a lot of requests for find us a biomanufacturing facility or a pharma facility or what have you, and those are always at a premium or non-existent. Just that kind of infrastructure just didn't last on the market long. And so what we saw over the past couple of years is we've had this interesting competition between large life science manufacturing opportunities looking at the same buildings that warehouse distribution was looking at, and saying, well, we just need the space. We'll put the infrastructure in, and that's a huge change from where the biopharma was 5+ years ago. Now they're well funded. They can make investments in facilities from scratch and go in and I mentioned before we began today talking about the lichen bioscience out in Hopkinton. They went into an existing a building that did have some life science infrastructure, and they took it all out, and they basically went back to a shell and built out a fantastic facility. But that's what, and so for where we've seen some large biomanufacturing opportunities, and they are often looking at buildings that were certainly not built for biomanufacturing purposes. So that was an interesting competition that we've seen for that type of space over the last couple of years, which is new, very new. So all of these buildings, just as a general comment, it's great to see in terms of size and scale of these buildings and availability, and when many will become available. I think the timing for a lot of these properties is absolutely spot on. The average size of projects that we were involved in last year, we do tend to be involved in larger square footage requirements anyway, and it tends to be more, in the manufacturing, distribution, type space. But really what we saw was, tremendous amount of activity, and I think again these sites are really going to be well suited for those opportunities. So timing is great with all of these. We're really happy to have these entering the ReadyMass platform. And what we do with it, we market these again to that site selector community. And stepping back, what we get the impression from national site selectors that are located in Chicago and Dallas and the West Coast, what have you. There's always this perception somehow that Massachusetts is built out, that there's not a lot of large. We do have an issue in terms of large acreage, but all of these buildings are pretty significant size and scale. It can meet a lot of different types of needs, and that's what we want to get out to the site selector community, that we have ready-made sites. And so that's the focus of our attention on those site selectors, so that they can share with all the different companies and that become their clients over the course of the next months and years. So thanks for bringing this all to us. I don't want to wrap up comments here, but I see Steve with his hand up.
Just a quick one, Pete. I'm pretty sure you attended the Mass Bio breakfast last week, where they told us that over the past 2 years, we've delivered 5 million square feet of life science space, but over the next 2, we will need 20 million, a factor of 4 over the next 2 years. So there's just no end to this accommodation right now. And with the velocity of lease up, we've got a couple of CGMP facilities. We haven't finished the drawings yet, and they're fully leased. Crazy.
Very active life science, and we've seen a lot of the biomanufacturing opportunities. And but we shouldn't forget the other types of manufacturing that again, I think our insights would be, it seems to be on an uptick. Other types of manufacturing as well, looking for the hedge betting, onshoring, I think is real, starting to happen, and based on what we saw last year. It is, and so those are other opportunities out there, and so we're really again, these are great additions, and we're happy to see the gateways involved as well, and in the game. That's certainly a priority for us as well.
Can I ask a quick question of Steve, if you don't mind, Peter?
Sure, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, Steve, on those GMP facilities you talked about pre-leasing, do you have any sense of what the modification cost consisted of to get it from where it was to what it's going to be?
Well, these are ground up. That's what I'm saying. These are ground up facilities. They haven't even broken ground yet, and they're fully leased. A couple of them out in Burlington. So it's just the conversion cost obviously varies to what's there, but most of the time you're going to strip out all the MEP that's there and bring in all new MEP. And that can run itself on the order of 100 to 125 a square foot for the CGMP facility. And then you bring in all the process, which normally is a TI responsibility rather than a base building core and shell is what we're seeing.
Okay, and that's the way you'll deliver it.
Yeah, we will deliver base building core and shell with infrastructure. And then these tenants are coming in and putting in their own process with their own process engineers.
Okay, helpful. Good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
I had one question actually for Travis on the Concord property, the deck building. Do you see that as I think we still have Travis? I see him blacked out, but I see him still on. Is that I didn't take a note in terms of the power. Is that a potential data center possibility. If Travis is still on. Maybe not. We can follow up with him on that. But given that it's past use, that might be, we do get occasional inquiries on data center, and usually the issue there is power supply. So we'll follow up. I think Mary Jo has a hand up. Oh, I think you're muted.
A little bit better? Yeah.
Very good.
Good,
Thank
good,
you.
good. I was curious if any of the presenters, what their experience was with the host municipalities. Were certain use types more well received than others? The reason I ask is warehouse distribution, particularly Amazon, has had a lot of pushback in some communities and then not in others. And yet I'm guessing that biotech manufacturing is sort of a darling that almost any community would want. Maybe that's an overstatement. And then I also heard one of the comments that food manufacturing spaces are really hard to find because these other two are kind of gobbling things up. So I just wondered, any comments from presenters on host municipality interaction relative to use types that you're bringing?
Great question.
I'm happy to take that, Mary Jo. In Woburn, where our CGMP facility is, it's part of an overlay district for biomed. So the city of Woburn, while they're not turning anything away, they're trying to upgrade what was historically a corridor between 93 and 128, which has a lot of warehouse and distribution facilities along it. They're looking to lean more towards seeing those facilities turn over to biomed. However, the absence of availability of anything with a loading dock, including our 11 million square foot portfolio, is nil. In fact, we're at 0% on labs, and it's safe to say we're probably less than 1% on anything with a loading dock. So until those spaces become available and subject to how people are moving forward with getting permits from the city, that's when we'll see if there's any more of a heavy hand associated with that intent.
Yeah, Pete, this is Doug Landry. If I could just make a comment for Mary Jo and the others here. Something to keep in mind going forward in these sites or any other sites that life sciences or e-commerce or anything else. When it's a ReadyMass 100 site, we try to shoot for shovel ready. We try to shoot for projects that are permitted not just at the local level, but also through the state. So bear in mind, particularly places like Fitchburg, where there is another new sort of overlay with the MEPA process, and that's revolving around environmental justice populations and proximity of project sites that require state permits, like a DOT permit or a Mass DEP water withdrawal permit. In the case of Boxborough, we were talking about some of those sites. What would have been a project that may not have seen the light of day in MEPA, with the new EJ requirements, they will go through the full EIR process. So be cognizant of that. I'll be happy to talk with anybody on this phone about what that means. But to make it shovel ready, it's not just the local permits, it's the state permits as well. So just something to bear in mind.
Well, great. Well, any other questions or comments? This has been terrific. And again, can't say enough about the properties that we're adding to the inventory. We are delighted to be able to work on marketing these. And it's great to have them on the ReadyMass inventory. And we will be sharing, and you'll be, in all likelihood, hearing from us on different opportunities. So we really appreciate the time. Doug and Annie, thanks for all the coordination with the presenters. Y'all did a great job. We appreciate it. And in capturing this it's also something we will I believe share this with everybody. Annie, is that the plan?
Yes, we will.
Great. And it also becomes a resource for us to share with potential opportunities that come our way. So thanks so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. You'll see these listings up, and you'll be hearing from us in the near future, hopefully about a lot of opportunities coming your way. And we appreciate your time today. Wish you a great weekend and school break next week. Hope everybody gets a day or two of a break coming up. So take care, everybody. Thanks so much.